So we've got some exciting guests for you helping us with the Oklahoma preview. The first set of guests, one of them is the publisher of Sooners at SI. He is the one and only himself, John Hoover. And he is the co-publisher of OU Insider, a co-host of KREF Sports, and the publisher of Minor Insider for Rivals.com, the one and only Parker Thune, and these two guys are very good friends of the Voice of College Football, and these are the go-to for Oklahoma football. Stay tuned for more on their takes. How you doing today, gentlemen?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Good word.
Eager to be on the same platform as Hoove again. You know, we were mentioning before the show started, we were co-workers many moons ago. This goes back almost 4 full years now, and we would podcast together twice a week. But I think this is the first time since then that we've been featured on the same platform at the same time.
You know, Parker, you could have me on your show anytime you want.
That is true. Maybe I'll do that.
Come on, I'm always open, man. I'm always good for you.
Let's do it, baby. All right. So this is going to become a regular thing is what it sounds like.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Hey, guys. Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it. It's going to be a fun week.
Well, thank you for coming on, gentlemen. It's an honor talking with you guys. And I wanted to go over a little bit about the series history for a little bit. And, you know, there's the 1963 Orange Bowl where JFK showed up to the game. And then you got the 1970 Blue Bonnet Bowl where it was a 17-17 tie. And I believe Alabama was wearing the white helmets for that game. That's a rarity. And of course, there's the 2014 Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma drubbed Alabama that game. And Alabama won their last matchup in the Orange Bowl 2018. But now, for the first time in series history, it's a conference game. How do you feel about that?
Well, this is the game that Oklahoma fans have been pointing to on the schedule since day one, since, June 7th? Was it something like that? July of 2021, I guess, July of 2021, when the news broke that Oklahoma and Texas were joining the SEC. This is the game, guys. Oklahoma-Alabama week. It's 2 heavyweights. It's 2 blue bloods. And one's having a better season than the other. One is more SEC ready than the other. But, this is still the one. Of all the games Oklahoma's played already, this is the one that they've had circled since day one.
Yeah, you know, we were all hopeful going into the season that this was going to be an all-out brawl between 2 of the most historic programs in college football. And preseason, you would have looked at Oklahoma as a team that was expected to get it all together in year 3 under Brent Venables. And, of course, there was that sense of mystery surrounding what the post-Nick Saban era looked like at Alabama. How quickly was Kalen DeBoer going to win big there? How quickly was he going to be able to replicate Saban's consistent success, not in the sense of winning national championships, but in the sense that you're winning 10, 11, 12 games every single year, bare minimum, as was the expectation for 17 seasons under Nick Saban's direction. So preseason, you would have figured this is going to be a very evenly matched game between 2 very evenly matched opponents that will probably have college football playoff implications. It's just not that. So a little bit of the punch has been taken out of it, if you will, but certainly still a football game that everybody is going to enjoy in the moment on Saturday, that everybody's been looking forward to. And one of those matchups that's just good for college football, and it's cool that we get to have it in an in-conference setting.
I was going to mention y'all because Jack brought it up. Y'all, if y'all remember way back when, Coach Bryant used to have some of his players wear white helmets. Y'all remember that? Are y'all familiar with that? During the game, literally. And Jack, you brought it up when Alabama was playing Oklahoma in the white helmets. But you know why Coach Bryant did that? All right, and he did it quite a lot. But his deal was whenever he played against another team like Alabama and Oklahoma and they wore the same color helmets, he was afraid his quarterback. So what he did is he changed the receivers or whatever helmets to white as the contrasting color, and that's why they wore the white helmets at times. I didn't know that. My father-in-law played at Alabama for Coach Bryant. He was a quarterback, and And he told me that, and then I wondered, and then it made sense.
That's
yeah,
funny.
they
I've heard
wear
that
the
for
white helmets.
I've heard that for a lot of years. I was a small college football reporter back in, what would that have been, 1993, and there was an old school guy who was a former coach, and the other team kept throwing touchdowns against his team, and we were standing over there on the sideline, and he's just like, they got them damn white helmets on. That's why they're completing all these passes. And I thought, they're completing the passes because your DBs are falling down. Just a theory.
Mm.
Just a theory.
Yeah. But they literally did it. They did it for a while. He would have the receivers wear contrasting colors on their helmets, and so I don't know if it worked or not, but who knows? I don't. That's the reason he did it.
Oh man, but wanted to go over a little bit about the 2024 season. Unfortunately, it's not been one of the best exactly. Oklahoma is at 5-5, and the bad part is their bowl eligibility streak, which dates back to 1999, is at stake. Last two games are Alabama, and you got to go to LSU.
What's going on? Excuse me, Jack. What's going on in the offense out there?
It's a combination of a lot of things. A lot of injuries, particularly at the wide receiver position and along the offensive line, which, if you can't string together an effective offensive line, that does not set you up well for success on that side of the football. The Sooners' top 5 wide receivers on the depth chart have all missed substantial time throughout the season. In fact, 3 of them have been out for the year. And so it's just been very, very difficult for this offense to get in a rhythm when there's been so much shifting up front to try and find an answer on the offensive line. I believe they're at something like 8 or 9 different starting combinations in 10 games on the offensive line. And they just don't really have anybody that they can consistently rely on in the passing game to be an every down threat at all 3 levels. Certainly nobody. You think of the great wide receivers in years past at Oklahoma, a guy like CeeDee Lamb springs to mind. The Sooners don't have anybody available right now that is a fraction of the player that CeeDee Lamb was for some of those great Oklahoma offenses of the late 2010s. Quarterback play has been suspect. Management of the quarterback position at the staff level has been suspect as well. Just a combination of a lot of very unfortunate factors for this football team that has contributed to their middling campaign to this point.
I looked up on NCAA stats today. I looked up because I was trying to figure, just see if there was anything in the statistics. And then you were talking about the offensive line, and I looked, and Oklahoma is dead last in giving up sacks.
It's bad.
Number 133. And I was like, oh my gosh. And if your quarterback can't get his feet set and he's constantly getting, right under the chin, I figured there was something going on with the offensive line.
Yeah, and that's a two-pronged thing when you think about it. Without your wide receivers out there who know what they're doing, you're gonna need more time to hold the football. You're gonna need more time to deliver the football. He doesn't have more time. Jackson Arnold, 13 turnovers in his, I think, 8 or 9 career starts now. He does not have that time because that offensive line is just they replaced 5 starters with 5 transfers, and it has not worked. They've filtered some sophomores and some redshirt freshmen in there and some other guys who it's just nothing they've tried has worked. Like Parker said, 8 different lineups in 10 games. And that's something that if you're Jackson Arnold, or, take it back to Seth Luttrell, the offensive coordinator. What was he supposed to do without any wide receivers and with a patchwork offensive line? Nothing he was going to do was going to work. But he did call some strange game plans, some strange play connections and things like that. Just didn't work. So they had to fire their coordinator at midseason. And you guys, you got to remember, they're doing all of this, no receivers, new offensive line, coordinator that hadn't coached quarterbacks before. They're doing all of this against what analytics, I think this week, or maybe it was last week, determined was the hardest schedule in college football, what Oklahoma's playing against this year. So just a bad combination for OU this year.
Yeah, that's Portal's doing that to a lot of teams. Some teams are surprising. Vanderbilt, Portal helped them. Yeah. Other teams, you're trying to build a team every year. And it's potluck. who knows? I mean, you could be great one year and terrible the next. So,
Well, I've always said that the way to go, when you're down, the only way to go is up. So maybe there's good days ahead for the Sooners for the rest of this year. We don't know yet, but
as long as it's not this week.
no. But
Not this week.
But I wanted to go over a little bit about the players to watch for. For those who haven't watched Oklahoma all season up to this point, gentlemen, who are the players to watch for on defense and on offense and on special teams?
Parker, you start us off.
Okay. It's easy to start on the defensive side of the ball because the Sooners have actually played pretty well.
Yeah,
that side of the ball has been a strength for Oklahoma under the direction of first-year defensive coordinator Zach Alley. One guy that has really pleasantly surprised as a true freshman is defensive tackle Jaden Jackson. And, it can be difficult to gauge a defensive tackle's impact on a game because their stat lines are never going to be obscene. They're never going to rack up tackles or sacks or anything that shows up in the box score. But Jaden Jackson has been a guy that throughout the season has proven to be a continual disruptor on the interior for Oklahoma. R. Mason Thomas, their outstanding edge rusher, leads the team in sacks by a country mile, especially in very obvious passing situations. That guy just has a knack for getting to the quarterback. We've seen it time and again this year. 3 sacks in the fourth quarter against Tulane, 2 against Auburn on their final possession to help clinch that victory, or penultimate possession, excuse me. But he's a guy that has come up big when the Sooners have really needed him at times throughout the season. And then, of course, the heart and soul of that defense is linebacker Danny Stutzman, who's going to be an early round NFL draft pick come April, continuing to work his way up amongst the school's all-time leaders in tackles. He had 19 of them against Missouri. He can go sideline to sideline as well as any linebacker in college football, covers a ton of ground, reliable tackler, and he can hold his own in pass coverage as well. He's demonstrated some liability at times there. It hasn't been consistently excellent, but in pass coverage, he's more than capable of stepping back, getting a hand on a football, even coming up with an interception. He had a pick 6 last year against Tulsa. So a very complete football player there at the center of Oklahoma's defense. The guys that they're really, really missing right now, and this goes back to the injury conversation, junior cornerback Gentry Williams was easily the best option that this program had at that position. He was lost for the year in week 2. And then the nickel position that they call Cheetah at Oklahoma belonged to senior junior college transfer Kendall Dolby, who was quietly one of the most reliable dudes on either side of the football for Oklahoma. Dislocated his ankle against Tennessee in week 4. That required surgery, and he's done for the year. So if those guys were on the field, they would certainly be worth watching, but that's kind of the story of the 2024 season for Oklahoma. Some of your absolute best football players not available.
Yeah, I'll double down on Stutzman. First team All-SEC linebacker. He's going to be probably a second team All-American linebacker. He's a Butkus Award finalist, or should be. So he's, like Parker said, the heart and soul of the defense. I got the easy side here, guys. I got the offense. I'll take the offense here. Who are the bright spots for the offense? Well, Javonte Barnes is a running back who had 200 yards against Maine. Xavier Robinson is a true freshman running back who came off the bench and was the best player on the field all of a sudden, out of nowhere, basically out of red shirt when they should have beaten Missouri. And then their leading receiver is actually a tight end, Bauer Sharp, FCS transfer, converted quarterback from Southeastern Louisiana. He's averaging 7.5 yards a carry, 7.5 yards a catch. So that tells you a little bit about where this offense is. Everybody wants to see the 5-star Jackson Arnold, but he's not he's probably not the marquee player on this offense. I don't know that there is a marquee player on this offense.
To those that say Oklahoma should have done everything in their power to keep Dylan Gabriel, keep him happy, what do you say to that, gentlemen?
It just wasn't happening. And, it's easy to play armchair quarterback with the benefit of hindsight. And obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, you would conclude, oh, yeah, absolutely. Dillon Gabriel is a far superior option to Jackson Arnold. How in the world did they let that guy walk? It was kind of understood that Dillon Gabriel's last season at Oklahoma was going to be 2023. It was stated by not only Brent Venables, but his offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, and Gabriel himself repeatedly throughout the season. The expectation was that he was going to go to the NFL draft. And it lined up very well because Arnold was going to take that freshman year to learn behind Gabriel. And then the belief was he'd be ready to lead this offense into the 2024 campaign as their starter. And ultimately, Gabriel gets to the end of the season. His NFL draft grade is not what he would like. He idolized Marcus Mariota growing up, as many kids from Hawaii do, especially those that play the quarterback position. And so he had his sights set on Oregon. Oklahoma, they could have absolutely, if they had felt that it was an absolute necessity to get Dillon Gabriel back on the roster for 2024, I believe that they could have made a greater effort to keep him around. But at the time, it just seemed like, okay, he wants to go to Oregon. We're not going to fight him on it because we have this 5-star kid that just sat the bench his freshman year. We let him take his time, didn't rush him onto the field. He is and should be our guy in 2024 and beyond. There was no reason to doubt that with Jackson Arnold at the time. It's just at the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't work out with a kid that you have every reason to believe is going to be really, really good. And there's certainly many pages of the Jackson Arnold storybook that are yet unwritten. He's not done as a college football player. I don't think anybody's writing him off, but certainly you look at the struggles that Oklahoma has had offensively in 2024, and you can safely conclude they would have been mitigated with Dillon Gabriel at the helm. It's just, I come back to the reality that it just was not happening for so many reasons. Gabriel wasn't coming back to Oklahoma in 2024. And so it's a nice thought, and it's the right thought. You see a quarterback struggle in his first year as a starter, you figure, how on earth did they let the veteran walk? But they had every reason to at the time.
One thing we don't know is whether Dillon Gabriel had a crystal ball and could see the 5 receivers being injured to start the season and a brand new offensive line with no cohesiveness and a new coordinator that had no experience coaching quarterbacks. He left before the bowl game last year. He decided to go, and then he picked Oregon, not out of a hat. He knew where he was going. So that whole thing, it makes you wonder if he was the quarterback right now. Everybody's saying, boy, we wish Dillon Gabriel was our quarterback. Yeah, I bet you do, but he might not be healthy enough right now to finish the season behind this offensive line and with this group of receivers. So everything worked out, not to the best, certainly for Oklahoma, but Dillon Gabriel, whose mother, by the way, went on a radio station and said he's leaving to give Jackson Arnold a shot. His shot to give Jackson Arnold the spotlight. So who knows if that's 100% grounded in truth and reality. We think it is. We have no reason to think it's not. But that's just another thing. Another factor at play here is his willingness to leave, his willingness to say, "Here you go, Jackson. You were a great understudy for 1 year. You take it. I'm gonna go to Oregon."
Yeah, and then you factor in the offensive line. That sacks leading the country, and as a quarterback, young quarterback, the game's already speeding up in your thought processes, and then you're trying to get set up, and you're constantly everywhere you turn, bam, 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 and it just no rhythm, just a mess for a young quarterback, and what's going through his mind as the game speeds up, and his trying to make progression reads and stuff like that, and then you can't get your feet set, you can't operate in that fast tempo scenario with the defensive line just constantly in your face. Young kid, it's a tough position.
Yeah, all 100% true what you just said. I
always say, you hear those footsteps. So you're back there and you got that ball and you're trying to whatever.
Dreams about closing in. Right now. I bet that's a nightmare for him. So we'll see how it plays out these next 2 weeks, guys.
Are they moving the pocket any? Are they keeping him in the pocket or are they moving the pocket?
They move the pocket some.
More of the latter now with the new offensive coordinator. I say the new offensive coordinator. They called their tight ends coach up to call plays. So it's kind of a new offensive coordinator.
we'll always work with regard to that. If they're closing in, you don't have a secure pocket, then we're going to, bootleg. We're going to do a lot of different ways in which to move the pocket and change the angles and stuff like that. So that's good to see. But it depends on how good a thrower he is on the run and how he can read on the run instead of a pocket passer reading that way. And now all of a sudden you got to move, and when you're throwing on the run, it's an altogether different game. Everything speeds up with regard to the head, and you gotta really look. We always say throw it where they ain't, and then if you're in out of the pocket, now everybody's moving with you, and so you kind of miss those guys that are way over here, and now they're just kind of creeping in.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on Saturday in Norman, Oklahoma on Saturday on ABC.
What time's the kickoff?
6:30 p.m. Central Time on
ESPN, isn't it?
Yeah, ABC.
Is it the ABC?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. I did the story on the LSU game today. That's ESPN. That's right. Got it in my head. Two different games, 2 different weeks.
No, it's all right, man. Love the story, by the way. It was awesome. Matter of fact, that's why I found out Oklahoma LSU was going to be on what network they were going to be on for rivalry week.
There you
Still
go.
don't like that Oklahoma LSU's on rivalry week, but whatever, I guess.
We'll blame Joe Burrow.
Yeah. I hope y'all beat LSU, honestly.
LSU's reeling. I'll tell you what.
They are. Yeah, 3 in a row.
Oh, coach, you know how they are down there. Hey, they ain't got a lot of patience down there.
No.
Things go south in a hurry.
Oh, yeah. It kind of feels like there's Jimbo Fisher vibes with Brian Kelly at LSU. Like, maybe that's just me.
I always thought it was a strange hire anyway. Brian Kelly, down in Louisiana, it was just, I don't know, Notre Dame, Louisiana. It was, anyway.
Well, you could have said the same for Nick Saban, and he won a title there.
Yeah, I know. I kind of knew, everybody knew Saban was going to win wherever he went. And so everybody in Alabama was like, yeah. Excited after all we had gone through and stuff like that. He had been a proven winner. We had played against him at LSU, so everybody was kind of excited about that. But anyway.
Well, before we let you go, because we got another set guest and we want to keep you past 20 minutes, but what are the keys to victory for Oklahoma, gentlemen?
Oh, that's easy. Don't give the football to Alabama in a short field situation, especially. And for once in your life, for the love of God, for the love of Sooner fans everywhere, they want you to hit a big play. They want to see a 65-yard touchdown pass. You do those 2 things, you got a chance.
Yeah, and that's what it's about right now. It's about giving yourself a chance, and the only way Oklahoma gives themselves a chance on Saturday is to avoid turnovers, to contain Jalen Milroe, because he is as capable as anybody in college football at getting outside the pocket and doing some dangerous things with his legs. And then you have to get in some sort of rhythm offensively, whether that's on the ground, whether that's through the air. You have to find something that works, and you have to stick with it. That's the only thing that's going to give you a chance.
Long drives. Offense got to maintain the ball. And I was looking at their third down conversion rate, for the season, around 35%. And so got to keep Alabama's offense off the field. But that means long drives.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
And that keeps a crowd in it. And, good crowds in Norman.
Yeah. It's always a fun game in Norman. And do you have a score prediction for that game, or do you want to wait a couple days?
Yeah, we put ours out on Friday, so I'll wait till Friday. But it's a 14-point spread right now. Alabama by 14. I can see it somewhere around that line. I don't think that's asking too much, even against a really good Oklahoma defense.
I would take – I don't have an exact score in mind yet, but I would take Alabama to win and cover at this point.
Well, one way to go when you're down, way to go is up. That's the moral of the night for Sooner Nation.
Yeah. Go up through the portal. Go buy you some players.
Do a little mix in of both. Like make sure you keep winning on the recruiting trail, but also make sure you're winning on the portal trail as well. Just don't take that guy from UNLV that was leaving.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't look at the high school anymore. I look at the portal. I mean, that's where you're gonna build your team, out of the portal.
Well,
we'll see. Brent Venables got a job to do for sure.
Oh yeah, he's got a humongous job for sure. And 5 Adams says, "I hope LSU loses all remaining games so Bama can get into Louisiana recruiting." Well, I feel like LSU is gonna underachieve more with less. And he also says he thought Oklahoma would beat Texas. I thought that would be a tighter game, but it wasn't. But it is what it is, I guess. I think Texas had revenge on their mind all year. And Sports Talk with Austin says 38-17. Bama defense has a big day. This guy Draymond says, no matter how good a team looks, if you don't show up to play, then that team will lose. Yeah. Yeah, that is a no. And you can check out John Hoover on Sooners on SI. He is a top-notch publisher on Sooners on Sports Illustrated. I mean, he is one of my go-tos for information on Oklahoma Sooners football, and so is Parker Thune, the co-publisher of Sooner of here we go, OU Insider at Rivals, and he's on KREF Sports at noon through 3 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, I can tell you this though, it's a go-to, and I recommend you all go to it. And we've got our net. Huh?
Good meeting you guys too. Appreciate y'all having us on.
Thank you for coming on, gentlemen, and y'all stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out.
Not in Alabama.
Or in Oklahoma, I guess.
It's pretty chilly here.
Uh-oh.
Not in Alabama.
Get a bunch of long sleeve stuff out. Well, I know a little something that's not going to drive us crazy. The disputed national champions of the 90s, College Football's Historical Reset, written by Mark Rogers himself. And in this book, you'll learn about what happened in the 90s, how the decade changed the sport, why the championship results should be questioned, how to critically think through the scenarios. And you want to grab your copy right now, especially for the holiday season this Christmas, because I'm going to tell you, it is the must-get, the must-read book of the year for the college football fan in your life. I'll tell you something, folks. I know it's a must-read for me, and it's a must-read for Johnny, and it's a must-read for all of us. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Mark Rogers brings in the book, Disputed National Champions, College Football's Historical 1990s Reset. Stay tuned.
Wives, do your husbands give them a nice little gift for Christmas. Your hubby will love reading that one.